we oftentimes, a lot of students, they worry about when they get to conferences, they don't really know what to do. But do you think that by volunteering, you kind of get it reduces a bit of the pressure because you're already there, you're kind of mingling with people? Or did you have to like go like lone wolf it out there and actually be going up to people and talking to them at the booths?
I lone wolfed it a lot, and if it feels uncomfortable, I think that's a very appropriate way for it to feel. It was a little intimidating. It was a little scary, and there were times that I didn't honestly know what to say. I mean, you're early in your career. You don't have necessarily, or I should say, what you have is you have imposter syndrome. You're afraid you don't belong there, and one of the most important pieces of advice I can give is that throughout my life, being curious and being unapologetically curious is a really important thing. And when you go in with an intention of learning and go ask questions, it will open doors for you. And one of the hardest things to do is to not be afraid and to just ask even the most banal question: what are you showing? How does this work? Tell me, there's no small talk that's bad talk is it, to get you started, right? And when you go to these settings, you have to remember that you're in a lab. You're there to do something, but you're also there to learn about you. And every conversation that goes well and every conversation that goes poorly is going to help you learn what works for you. So even if you end up going to a conference, you're 21 years old, 20 years old, whatever it is, and you feel like you just did a horrible job, you feel like you tanked, you feel like you were in the room and said nothing to anyone, that's perfectly fine. Something came out of that. What's important is that you just take it, you get back up and you do it again, and you don't be afraid to experiment.
Do you think that gives a lot of opportunity for young people? Because again, there's always a lot of kind of doom and gloom about it, but that it actually gives a lot of opportunity for young people because the space is so open.
We're not 6 months away from solving all of our technology problems. I'm pretty confident in that. I think it creates a tremendous amount of opportunity. It means that someone who's early in their career is not going to be thinking about how do I write better code? They're going to think about what are the business problems I want to solve. And I think that's great. I mean, if you're in your 20s and you're now thinking about how do I make healthcare affordable? How do I make sure people live longer? I mean, this is what we should be doing. This is the great thinking. I mean, it's not about what's the do loop, what the JDK,
The for
it's
while.
right, exactly the for while. I mean, this is the best place for us to think. So I think it creates a lot of opportunities.
Would you mind? Is it possible to give an example where you were kind of uncomfortable but found a way to give value?
Yeah, absolutely. So I had a role as a chief of staff of an organization at KP. And it was a really great role for a mid career because you bring it all together. It's not so much about the technology, but it's about how do you make sure that a large group of people are operating effectively: finance, HR, goal setting, everything, all of that. But you reach a point where you get really comfortable. And I could feel that the department was running well on its own and that I wasn't adding value. And I guess you could argue it was comfortable, but it was actually really uncomfortable because you start to say, well, how can I add value? Where do I go? At the same time, the organization was going through major changes. We had, we've gone through a few different leadership changes, and we've been looking to refocus. We had the incredible disruption of COVID-19. We've had to make sure that we're positioning ourselves to make sure that we are both cost effective and being able to deliver maximum care to our patients. And there was just a lot of change. And I made sure that several leaders knew that, number one, I was happy doing what I was doing. Number two, I was committed to maximizing the value of what I was doing. So I would add, I'd add different systems and process to make goal setting easier, what have you. And three, I was receptive to doing something different. And I was put in a few different stretch assignments here and there. If there was a problem, I went to go fix it, whether it was understanding, how to make things more efficient in the Washington state market space, or whether it was helping to design a different process to let people offshore have remote access securely. It was just a bunch of different items that didn't connect well. But I had a lot of faith and I worked them really aggressively until I had capacity and found the next one.
So obviously you said, when your first 6 months show up like it's your first day every day or throughout your career, I guess. is there anything that you would over index on while in school that they could take advantage of kind of in that unique place and time?
I loved going to college. I miss it so much. When you're in college, you have access to so many different things. You have access to intellectual leaders from all across the landscape. So I would argue that my advice to people in college is very similar. It's experiment, 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 experiment. Try different majors, audit classes. I mean, I went to an intro to journalism class and I learned a few things. One was I learned that I wasn't at my best at 8 o'clock in the morning, but I also I learned what I was good at and what I wasn't good at, and what I was drawn to. And the more you could experience in college, the more you can, because colleges and universities are places where the best minds get together and try to solve really incredibly complex problems, even in these difficult times where there's a lot of where colleges are at the front of the national dialogue. Just wherever you go, experiment, take every opportunity. Life is short. It really is short. And there's a lot of great things to do and a lot of fun to be had while you do it.